Good evening. A very warm welcome to a brand new edition of WION Fineprint. I'm Molly Gambhir. For a long time, India and many across the world have been saying that it is the army that has been calling the shots in Pakistan and not the civilian leadership. For the first time, documents and an email trail indicate how Rawalpindi has been behind Pakistan's foreign policy. Here's a detailed report by WION's Siddhant Sibal.
Recently declassified US State Department emails have thrown light on a troubled period in Pakistan's relations with the US. One email from Wali Nasser, a senior official in the office of the US Special Representative for Afghanistan and Pakistan, is about a phone call from Maliha Lodhi, Pakistan's former ambassador to the US and UK. It says, quote, "I got a call from Maliha Lodhi, who's in London. She gave a message from Kayani," unquote. The rest of the email is deleted, but a subsequent query from Hillary Clinton, then Secretary of State, gives an indication of what Kayani, then Pakistan's army chief, wanted. Hillary's email says, quote, "If I do call Kayani, what do I tell him about our as yet undelivered response to his paper? I need something to say," unquote. Kayani wanted Hillary's response to a 13-page document he'd handed over directly to President Barack Obama in December 2010. The document underscored Pakistan's strategic interests in Afghanistan at a time when the US was doing a policy review of the region. The propriety of an army chief bypassing his political masters and handing over a key document to somebody who was no longer in government is unusual. But this is Pakistan, where the army has had a dominant say in public life. Another set of emails dating to November 2011 is with reference to an urgent request from Hina Rabbani Khar, then Pakistan's foreign minister, to speak with Hillary Clinton. The substance of what she conveyed was set out in an email from Cameron Munter, then US ambassador to Pakistan. It says, quote, "The Pakistan Defence Committee concluded its emergency meeting called to discuss responses to the November 27th Mohmand border incident. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs called to inform us of two decisions. First, that Pakistan will not attend the Bonn conference. Second, that Foreign Minister Khar urgently requests to speak with the Secretary to explain that decision," unquote. The Mohmand border incident was the killing of 25 Pakistani troops in a NATO airstrike. Cameron Munter's email noted the Pakistani demand that the US stop operating from Shamsi Air Base. It noted that the Torkham border gate had been closed to NATO supply traffic and that senior military-to-military visits had been postponed. Munter's mail of November 27th noted a vital admission from Hina Rabbani Khar. He says, quote, "The military had pressed hard for her to announce that she would not go to Bonn, but that she had been able to prevent that. But she was not sure she could sustain that argument in the days ahead," unquote. Bonn was the venue of an international conference on Afghanistan and more than 80 countries were attending. As a neighbor of Afghanistan, the US deemed Pakistan's presence critical. But as it turned out, Islamabad boycotted it, citing the NATO airstrike. It was pretty clear that the army had pressured the civilian government to not attend the meeting.
All right, let's take a step back and broaden this for you. Joining us from New Delhi is TCA Raghavan, a former Indian diplomat. Also joining us on the broadcast from Washington is Ray Locker, the national security editor with the USA Today. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for speaking with us here on WION. Coming to you first, Ambassador Raghavan. This is not the first time that the army calling the shots in Pakistan theory has been discussed. It's been doing the rounds for decades now, but it is pretty much the first time that these documents show the extent to which this has been at play in Pakistan. Your initial reaction?
Well, as you say, this is not new in itself because the military in Pakistan has had a major role in different aspects of its public life, and especially in foreign policy, and in foreign policy especially where relations with Afghanistan and relations with India are concerned. So this documentary evidence certainly would reinforce that, but as I said, this conclusion itself is well known, and this is the story not just of the past decade, but of the past many decades.
Ray Locker, the extent to which the Pakistan Army was calling the shots, a sample of that is indicated through those emails. Let me also ask you, does this not once again put Pakistan in an embarrassing position? These are email trails that have now surfaced.
Well, I think in a lot of cases, the government of Pakistan is beyond embarrassment. As the ambassador noted, the Pakistani military has controlled politics there since the partition. I mean, how many U.S. governments have dealt with Pakistani leaders who have come from the military? Pervez Musharraf being the most recent example. The military steps in when it seems believes that there's domestic instability and it needs to do something, and it does that often. So any U.S. policymaker dealing with Pakistan has to take that into consideration and act accordingly.
Absolutely, and let me just take a cue from the ambassador, from what the ambassador said earlier as well. The time at which this communication or this email trail was being exchanged, Ambassador, also coming at a time when there was a widespread talk of the involvement that Pakistan and the US were engaging in when it comes to Afghanistan specifically, and the very fact that there was the withdrawal that came in from the international conference being carried out on Afghanistan after this very communication.
Well, in general, the period between 2010 and 2012, 2013 was a period of very poor relations between the United States and Pakistan, really centering around the detection and elimination of Osama bin Laden and then a number of other events and episodes after.
Indeed. Stay with me, Ambassador, as we just try and reconnect our line as well. Ray, picking up from what the Ambassador was saying, the time at which this communication took place is all the more significant.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a time of very tense relations between the United States and Pakistan. And, in 2011, we had the raid on Osama bin Laden's hideout in Abbottabad, and that obviously made things very difficult between the two countries. And again, it shows, that's where the Pakistani military academy was. It shows the tensions there between the two countries. And, I think, again, the Obama administration knew what was going on in Pakistan and was acting accordingly.
Indeed. Stay with me, gentlemen. Just a quick roundup for our viewers who might just be tuning in. These are the email trails that we are talking about, which in a way suggest the involvement that the Pakistan Army was having when it comes to calling the shots in the country there. In fact, we're running out of time here. We're going to move on now for the time being to our other top focus in this edition. Thanking very much both TCA Raghavan and Ray Locker for joining us on the broadcast with those perspectives.